Can you guys all take out this paper that I gave you yesterday?
Oh, I think I lost it.
Editorial.
I'm not in the line. I think I
Where
lost
did
it.
mine go?
You said, I'm like, maybe you're just dumb.
Here, man, come on.
And you need your notebooks out. This is our last.
Where did mine go? Sorry.
This is our last notebook entry, number 10. Objective summary. You guys can focus in. We're going to briefly review writing objective summaries. I know that you went over this with Ms. Zip way back when, and you wrote a summary of Hip Hop Planet. Am I saying that? Yeah, Hip Hop Planet. So I just want to kind of start there. Like, what do you guys remember about writing an objective summary?
Nothing.
Okay, Bonnie's baseline is 0. Wait. Okay, Jasper, what?
You don't use your opinion.
You don't use your opinion. Good. Tiago?
I think you took my notebook because I didn't want
And then it's on my desk right there on the corner. I think you gave me your notebook.
money.
There you go.
Good on.
I want to just kind of go through this as quickly as we can so that you have some time to work on your presentations at the end of the period. So, I'm going to talk briefly about writing an objective summary. And as Jasper said, an objective summary means no personal opinions. And summary, of course, means you're conveying the main points of a source in a neutral or an objective tone. Next slide. This isn't just an example of what not to do. In his ridiculous article, The Climate Change Hoax, Cyrus Teeter mistakenly argues that evidence of climate change is really part of a natural cycle rather than caused by humans. So what are the elements there that make it not objective? Yeah, it's definitely biased. It's definitely an opinion of the article. So what would you have to take out to make it more objective? You have to take out ridiculous
That's my favorite part of that. That's my favorite part of that statement.
and mistakenly. But the rest of it, then it's pretty objective, right? In his article, The Climate Change Hoax, Cyrus Teeter argues that evidence of climate change is really part of a natural cycle rather than caused by humans. So that's the difference between objective and what is the term for the opposite of objective, you guys?
Subjective.
Subjective, yeah. So this would be very subjective, very opinionated. All right. So this is the why. Like, some people are kind of asking me, like, why do we need to do this? And the reason why is because summarizing can really help you decide what is the most important information from a source. And it's an important skill when you're writing essays and research papers. And just remember that what is most interesting about something that you read is not always exactly the most important, like the examples, that sometimes the stories, the anecdotes that go with an argument. And you can zoom out for the big picture. I know for a fact next year you guys will be writing some research papers, and if you're going into honors, you'll be writing an annotated bibliography. So an annotated bibliography begins with a summary and then an evaluation of that summary, of that source. But for this purpose, all you have to do is summarize one of the sources that you've used for your research.
How long is that thing?
We're going to talk about that in a moment. So to read and take notes. So I know some people were kind of, in this class, but my other class were maybe trying to skip that step of actually taking the notes and going right to the summary. But taking notes, that will help you identify the main ideas. And what's really important too is to state them in your own words. And what that does for you is it really helps you know that you understand it. Like if you can paraphrase it and put it in your own words, then you know you understand. Sometimes the temptation is just to keep taking notes by quoting everything, because then you're just transcribing and you really don't even have to think about it. But if you have to put it in your own words, especially when you start reading things that are more complex and scholarly, then you really have to understand what that author is saying. But if you cannot paraphrase, if it is just so perfect the way that author says it, make sure in your notes that you use quotation marks. Because if you don't, and then you go back to your notes as a source, you probably won't remember that. And then you may accidentally plagiarize it. You're like, oh, I took it from my notes. I thought I had written it in my own words, but actually you had lifted a phrase from from the source, and that can be a dangerous thing to do. All right. Read and take notes, find the main ideas, put them in your own words. So what I want to do there now is have you guys kind of pair up and then come up with the main ideas of that editorial that I gave you yesterday. It's a pretty short editorial, so you can probably sum it up in maybe like 3-4 bullet points. All right, so just 5 minutes, because everybody read it yesterday, right?
Yes.
And marked it up.
Yes.
All right, so
Totally.
just take a few minutes and mark and identify just in bullet points what you think the 3 main ideas are there. You can do that. What are the main points that Dolnick's making in his argument? Gummy, start us off. What's the main point he's making?
Reading influence.
Reading what?
Reading influence.
What about reading influence?
Like, the book's way of making people think. Like, how they think when they're reading a book. How their brain processes things. Like, something is vivid. You can just, like, imagine it.
Okay. What makes something vivid, though, when you're reading? What is his argument about
The
that?
description of detail.
Sorry?
The description of detail.
Okay. And what did you add to that, Jasper?
Well, reading in like big parts rather than reading in short. Like 10 minutes.
Did we say like 15 minutes before bed?
Okay.
They don't do that.
Oh.
Okay, so like binge reading helps you get to that experience that Gummy and Tiago were starting about, like more vivid. This is not a good marker, sorry.
Miss Harrington, would you like my bookmark?
Do you have one?
I carry them around all the time.
I would love to have a Let's see. Thank you. So if you binge read, you're going to have a more vivid, more enjoyable, ooh, that is so vivid, experience. Okay, that's one of his main points. Yeah, Brenna?
He made a big point that like entertainment and enjoyment can come from books rather than on the internet. Like he made a huge deal about that.
He's trying to influence people.
Basically reading
To end the Netflix subscription.
Well, not to end it. I mean, because he's obviously a Netflixer too. But you can kind of replace Netflix with reading for pleasure. So that same kind of like pleasure you get from watching your favorite series episode after episode after episode, you can get from reading when you let yourself really get into a book. Yeah. Another point that he makes? Yeah.
I said like gulps rather than sips.
Oh, yeah, I said that too.
Like you just kind of like push yourself to read more than like a couple pages, and then you find yourself more like into the book.
Yeah, so sometimes you get that like that threshold where you're not quite into it and it's hard to push through, and he's like, you just keep doing that. If you push through it, then you get into that state, right? So how would we say that? Gulp, don't sip to get into the book. Anything else? Yeah, Brenna?
He talked about like binge reading makes you want to read more.
Yeah, it's actually that cycle, like if you only just read a little bit, then it's not that fun, you don't want to read more, so. If you binge read, you're gonna like reading more, you're gonna want to read more, right? Did you guys find that compelling at all, that argument? I know we're being objective, but I'm just curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, like
Really related to that.
Choices of
I used to read like Harry Potter and read. Like I could actually get
Yeah.
entertained and
Yeah, when you get sucked into a Harry Potter book, I mean, and the anticipation for a Harry Potter book is like when a movie's coming out or something like that. The same excitement of people lining up to buy a book, which will line up to see like the new Star Wars movie or something like that. Yeah, Brenna?
I was gonna say that like at the beginning of the year I tried to like read books on my own, but I would only be able to read like a couple pages per night, and I just like stopped after a while because like I wasn't into the books at all. But then over spring break, like I just like read like half the book, and I got like way more into it than I was when I was reading it like just a few pages per night.
Yeah. And hopefully some of you may have had that experience in your book club too, because when we first assigned those books, a lot of people were like, oh my God, I can never read this whole book in a, like, and we had a pretty long timeline of a month. But then like Bonnie, you said you got into your book, right? The Secret Life of Bees, and you finished it.
It was so hard
right?
though, like I have a hard time reading and like comprehending what I'm
Paying
reading.
attention.
So I have to like
Yeah.
read it over again and over and again, so it took me a while like, to finish the book.
But sometimes you like space out when you're reading it.
I do that all the
Right,
time.
and then you like go back to the page and you like scan back to.
Yeah, I'll
Well-
be reading and then I'll just like forget what I just read like seconds ago.
And during the school year, you guys have a lot of, competition for your attention. It's really hard to do this, to binge read, because even if you do get into a book, you're like, oh, time's up, I have to go do my next homework assignment. So that's why I want to just kind of like plant this little, thought in your head as you go into summer of like giving yourself that experience, that chance to do that, for something that you just read for pleasure too. Yeah,
I
Tiago?
think another part of the problem is that we're at school for 7 hours a day and we like read that whole time, and then when we get home we want to do something else with the time instead of actually going to use some time to read. So that's just probably why I don't really like to read at school.
Yeah, I can see that
That's
too.
why I just want to have
He also makes that great point about like what Netflix does is you're watching something, and even if you say you're only going to watch one episode, it just like immediately rolls into the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was like great. And he's like, that's like the end of the chapter. You just have to roll yourself into that next chapter, and then you can sort of get over it, get some momentum
It's
going.
like that happens to me when I was watching
the
the
next
Office.
show's playing.
The
I
Office.
know. I am totally susceptible to that myself. I mean, I get
I don't
it.
watch Netflix. I watch
I want someone tell me that there's a great show. I'm like, I can't start.
I'll watch all 16 videos, Jasper.
All right.
I'll just watch all 16.
But I want to go over this guys' topic sentence template.
Oh yeah, all American.
Miles, you guys need to write this down in your notes. And I call it, well, the green, just try to ignore the green, because I want to leave it there for a minute. So 3 parts to your topic sentence. This is a template that some of you are already doing, but if you're not, just make sure you understand this. The first part is to name it. So you are going to identify the title of the source text, whatever it is. You're going to identify the author, full name, first and last name, and the genre. Is it an article, an editorial, a book, an interview, an essay, a speech, a short story? So that's the first thing. You're going to name it. What is it that you're summarizing? Miles, you're writing this down because you're going to do this when you write your objective summary. This is something that I'm going to be looking for. This template topic sentence. After you name it, you're going to verb it. What is that author doing? Use a precise verb to convey intent and tone. Like, don't just say, in this article, he says. Think about it. Are they arguing for something? Are they explaining something? Is he explaining? Is she asserting or showing, describing, discussing, exploring, illustrating, teaching, comparing? That's like, think about what is the intent of the article, of the author in writing this piece. And then you follow it up with the central idea. So we saw that in that one I gave you, the climate change one, in his article, Climate Change is a Hoax, Cyrus Teeter argues, and then the central point. Is this all starting to sound familiar, Bonnie? Do you remember this zip going over this?
When you're not going over it, she didn't like doing things, but like, I remember this.
We're like the English orphans.
We really are.
We had basically 4 different teachers.
I think.
So let's practice, let's write a topic sentence for this objective summary. If we were writing an objective summary on Dolnick's editorial, this is an editorial, that's a genre. What are we gonna say? Let's see if I get a black one to show up.
Why you should start thinking right now.
Okay, I'm gonna, one thing I'm gonna do right there, Jasper, is I'm gonna put his editorial and put the author's name in the main clause of the sentence. It'll just make a stronger sentence. So, in his,
Oh my gosh.
Bro, what happened to the pen I gave you?
look, can you guys see the green? Is it bright enough? All right, it's bright enough for you. In his editorial, I'm just gonna be, what's it called, why?
Oh my god, today's Friday.
Yes.
Look up.
So I'm not gonna put the whole for space.
well, let's look
Why
at
you should
the
start
back.
binge reading now.
Bye.
No, just
In his editorial, and then we'll put his name. Okay, so we have named it. What's our verb gonna be? Verb it.
Persuades.
Yeah.
Persuades. Okay.
Persuades the reader into.
Well, we should say reader if we're gonna say reading.
Persuades,
The audience.
The binger.
Persuades the audience, okay?
I'm gonna print that.
that binge reading is
That binge reading is beneficial.
It's good for the brain.
I found out it's like a year, my dad's here, so like.
Okay.
Yeah, wait, does this say persuades the, what is that word?
Persuades the audience. Audience. Brunna was being conscious of the idea she want to have that close echo of reader and reading. So that'll work, yeah. So here's my sample topic sentence. Yours works great. I'm just gonna erase it for a second. Mine was, in his editorial, Why You Should Start Binge Reading Right Now, novelist Ben Dolnick, I included a little bit about who he is to give him a little bit of credibility. He's a professional writer. I said claims. Reading a book quickly makes reading more enjoyable. And I was trying to like not say binge reading, like Bruno was doing there. So same kind of idea there, that works. Here's the question people keep asking, like how long does it need to be? How many ideas? I would say it depends on your source, how long your source is. Most of you are dealing with kind of shorter articles, so you can probably do this in a well-developed paragraph. If it's more complex, maybe a couple of paragraphs, no longer than a page. And remember to write the summary only from your notes. Try to get away from the source. That will help you keep condensing it down. And then you're going to kind of connect your sentence with some academic transitions to improve the flow of ideas. So that's when you can say, like, in addition, another example, furthermore, besides doing this, he also this, that kind of things. We kind of talked it through, but then I also wrote a little, and I by no means is this like the gold standard of summaries, but, whoa. And again, I was mainly doing this because I have students who I know are going to be absent. So this was my attempt at writing the summary. In his editorial, Why You Should Start Binge Reading Right Now, novelist Ben Dolnick claims that reading a book quickly makes reading more enjoyable. He points out that most people only read for a few minutes before bed, making reading less enjoyable and leading to a lower motivation to read. Unlike streaming videos that automatically begin the next episode, books rely on the reader's motivation to continue the next chapter. Dolnick claims, so I used claims twice, I'd probably re-edit that. That if readers make time to immerse themselves in the text, they will be rewarded with better understanding and a deeper engagement that makes reading exciting. The combination of, I think, the right book and enough time to read it can be magical or something like that in the end. So that was my attempt to get like the 3 main points, and I think I hit what you guys said there. Yes, Miles? Can you wait 1 minute? Let me just wrap up a little bit, okay? So any questions? People feeling confident in their ability to write an objective summary of one of their sources?
Yes.
Okay. Don't forget your works cited. Okay, you must have a work cited with your source. Yes, Bonnie? Sorry, Bonnie.
Is
What I
this
call
on
you?
your, we listen to same.
Sophie.
Is this on your website?
It is on the website, yes. It's all on the website now. I had a late night. I was at the father-daughter dance last night. It was really, a big event that I was working at.
So we look the same.
I think that's all I had for this, yeah. Don't forget your works cited with it and your objective summary. You're also putting it in your English folders. You don't have to print it, just do your English folders and to turnitin.com.
Wait, when?
Tuesday. You have a long weekend. You have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and on Tuesday, before you come to class, it's just a paragraph, Bonnie. You can do it. I know you can do it.
What's on your paragraph?
A paragraph to a page, depending on how long your source is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Any other questions?